right, today we're going to talk about two-step equations, and I need to make sure that you get the spiral notebook, yellow, orange, and red crayon. So go ahead and grab those materials, pause the video, and then come on back and we'll talk about the vocabulary and then move on to solving some problems. Okay, looking at the vocabulary, make sure that you're writing this down. An equation, we are solving two-step equations today. And remember, an equation is a math problem that has an equal sign, and it also is a problem that has exactly one answer. Also, you're going to hear me use the word inverse. Inverse just means do the opposite. Inverse means do the opposite. All right, to start with, you want to make sure that you copy down what's here in blue. You want to make sure that as you're working through an algebra problem, you are constantly working backwards. We already know the answer is 28, but we're working backwards to try to figure out part of the problem. Well, when you work backwards, what you're doing is doing the inverse. You're doing the opposite of PEMDAS. You're doing the opposite of adding, which is subtracting. You're doing the opposite of subtracting, which is adding. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. The opposite of dividing is multiplying. So you're always going to be doing the reverse. In terms of reverse of PEMDAS, normally we start with parentheses and then do our multiplying and dividing and then our adding and subtracting. But because we already know the answer, we want to work over problems backwards. Instead, we're going to start with all the adding and subtracting and then do all your multiplying and dividing. So make sure you're copying down what's here in blue. Now, as you look at the examples here, this example's already been done for you. Notice that we started with the adding and subtracting first. So the inverse of adding 4. If you want to take that out of the problem, you want to make it go away. The only way for it to go away is to make it go to 0. Well, if you have 4, how do you make that go to 0? Exactly, you subtract 4. So the opposite of adding 4 is subtracting 4. And I do want you to write it this way. Draw a line and write down what's left in the problem underneath the line. So before we had 6n plus 4, we took away the 4, and now we're left with the 6n. On this side of the equal sign, we had 28. We're subtracting 4, so that brings you down to 24. Now the next step. Well, here it's 6 times n. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. So instead of multiplying by 6, you're going to divide by 6. Divide by 6 on both sides, and n equals 4. Now it's really important that you check your answer to make sure that it works. Make sure you haven't made any math mistakes anywhere. So if you take that 4 and plug it back up into the original problem, take a look at our problem here. 6n plus 4. So take out the n and put in the 4. 6 times 4 plus 4. Well, 6 times 4 is 24. Plus 4 does indeed equal 28. So yes, n does equal 4. Go ahead and jot this example down. Pause the video and try it on your own and see how you do. And then come on back and we'll do it together. All right, let's work it out together here and check your work. The opposite, we're going to start with adding and subtracting. So we're going to do the opposite of minus 8 is plus 8. Do that on both sides of the equation. We always want to keep that what they call balanced. That's what we have left over on this side. And over here, if you had 19 and you add 8, you end up with 27. Okay? Now, there's no symbol between the negative 3 and the p, so the opposite is to divide. This is a multiplication problem. The opposite is to divide. Divide by negative 3. P equals negative 9. Now remember, it's always important to check your answer and make sure that looks right. Let's go back to our original problem. We're going to check our answer here. Negative 3. Take out the p and put in the number you came up with. Negative 9 minus 8. Well, go ahead and multiply. Negative 3 times negative 9. 9 times 3 is 27, and the signs are the same, so it's positive. 27 minus 8, does that equal 19? It sure does. So yes, p does equal negative 9. All right, take a look at this problem. Here, the only difference that you're going to see is this little fraction bar. Please remember that a fraction bar just means division. So go ahead and jot that down. J over 4, it's a fraction, and fractions just division. That's the same as j divided by 4. So if you're more comfortable with this format, feel free to change that yourself. Again, we're working our problems backwards, so we want to start with our adding and subtracting. Well, this is an 8. Some people wonder, gosh, what do I do with this 8? What is the opposite of that? Well, this is a positive 8, right? And what's the symbol in front of the 8? A positive sign. Well, the opposite of plus 8 or positive 8 is minusing 8. So we're going to minus 8 on both sides. What is left? We have j over 4 and 9. Now the opposite of dividing by 4 is timesing by 4. Notice I put it here as 4 over 1 and here as 4. That's exactly the same thing. Any whole number can put a 1 under it and make it a fraction. J equals 36. It's important to check your answer and make sure that it works. Remember, when you know the answer is 17 and you're trying to figure out what the j equals, you're doing reverse order of operations. And then when you go back to check your answer, you want to do regular order of operations. You want to work through order of operations and PEMDAS the way you normally would. All right, go ahead and pause the video, jot this example down, and try it on your own, and then come on back and we'll do it together. Okay? So let's see, you should have plus 12. I have this left. I'm going to keep that for right now. And then I'm going to do 3 plus 12, and that gives you 15. The opposite of dividing by negative 6 is timesing by negative 6. W equals negative 90. It's important to check our answer just to make sure it works. I'm going to put a negative 90 back up here and see. Negative 90 divided by negative 6 minus 12. Well, 90 divided by 6 is 15, and the signs are the same, so it's a positive 15. Minus 12, do we get 3? We sure do. All right, go ahead and jot this example down, and you try it on your own. If you jot this example down and you really are not sure what to do, go ahead and rewind the video and play it again and see what you're missing. If you're able to answer this question accurately, then you're all set and good to go. You're ready to come to class and do some practice problems. But go ahead and jot this down and see how you do. All right, here's your answer. Again, if you've got this answer down correctly, if you got negative 9, you're all set to come to class ready to do some more practice problems. If you didn't get negative 9, rewind the video and watch it again. Also, notice here I've checked my answer. Make sure you check your answer because that can help you out as well. Remember to color code your notes. Yellow is, I'm a little shaky. I got this answer, but I was kind of unsure of myself. Color code yourself yellow. If you feel really solid, you got the negative 9 without any problems, color code orange. If you already knew all the steps to these and you were ready to answer before I even moved on, go ahead and color code yourself red. I'll see you in class real soon.